My work is making this company $100,000 every single year. It's only fair that I get, right now you're giving me 50,000. I think that it's not outrageous to ask for 70,000. I think that it's a situation where we both win. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Juju, and welcome back to the 1% of Juju podcast, where we teach you the practical steps to live your life like the 1%. I'm so excited to be recording this podcast episode. I have no idea why. I can't give you a reason, but I am happy. It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful life. So, yeah, this is it. We're back. Let's dive right into it. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I haven't posted in 2 weeks. Maybe some of you guys didn't know this. Maybe some of you guys did. But the reasoning for that is just I felt like my content was slipping a little bit just because I've been a little bit busy. Obviously, I've had to travel a little bit for weddings, graduations, family events, also a little bit for fun. So I've been away, and in the midst of it, I kind of gave myself a goal to be consistent and all that. But I kind of saw that it got to the point where I was just creating content just for the sake of dropping it and putting it out there, which is not what I want to do ideally. So I decided to just take a break. I was like, okay, give yourself a chance, go do those things, right? Like go on your vacation, support your family, all those things, and then come back and really refocus. And every time you drop something, I want it to be quality, right? Like I want to make sure that I'm providing value every single time, that I'm putting thoughtfulness and planning into every single episode, that it's not just something that I just throw out there. So that's what we hear. So make sure you are subscribed, you're tuned in. Make sure you share with someone, with a friend, whatever you want to do. But yeah, we have an amazing lineup. We're about to get the guests back on. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have a great summer all together, and we're going to get rich, make a lot of money, but also grow. I think that I'm going to add something that's really important. I mean, it's always been really important to me, but I want to add a little bit of that is like the mental health component, the mental and physical health component to the podcast. Um, Obviously, it's a huge part of my life, and so I did want to. I think that it is very important for this podcast. I don't really want to be like this self help thing, but mental health, physical health, and financial health. I think that as I'm going through a little bit of work and really focusing where I want my focus to be and what I want this podcast to be known for, that's what I'm going to add. So I'm going to have some really interesting and important guests. So definitely stay tuned. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not going to pretend to be. So obviously, if you need that kind of help, seek professionals. But there's definitely some areas that we're going to be able to provide support that I'm really, really excited for. But subscribe. But for today's topic, your value to your job. You can see the title and all that. We're gonna get into it, right? Why is that important for you to even know what your value to your company, to your job is right now as you approach career progression, right? I think that most people get taken advantage of when it comes to the workforce, when it comes to little things, because they know that employees, for the most part, they just think about their daily task and they're not thinking about the leverage that they have and what they're actually able to do. That comes mainly because we have this misconception that if I just do my job, we'll be recognized, and if that doesn't happen, we just assume that we're of no value to the company, we're not valuable, we're basically of no. They don't recognize us the way, at least not in a way that we would like to be recognized. And if you think about it, right, we all know the one person like at our job that we think they keep getting all these rewards and they keep getting rewarded, but I really don't think that they they work that hard or they do that job particularly well, whatever it is, but they just keep getting highlighted and they're always in the spotlight. Well, if you really think about it, like all they're doing better is just highlighting their work a little bit better and working on some of those relationships. It often has nothing to do with the quality of the work that they're actually doing. But I thought that I would make this episode not to tell you to stay at your job, but before you jump to your next role, to take a few things into consideration, right? Before you go out and you seek the next opportunity, um, obviously having a culture that recognizes people for a variety of things. Because one thing that I always share within my professional career is that there's so many different people in the workforce, and the numbers don't always reflect the quality and the importance of other people. And I'm going to dive into that specifically. So the people getting recognized, having the culture of recognition of those different things that do provide value to a company is amazing, but that doesn't always come easy, because sometimes, right, you don't want to just um, be recognized just to be recognized, right? You don't just want to get like the participation medal, or be recognized for your kind of like mundane work that you just like, that's just part of my job description, because you just get to a point where you're feeling like I didn't really deserve this recognition, so it doesn't even make me feel better. But at the same time, understanding what value you truly bring to the table, to those people, to the company, sorry, is really important. So all this to kind of say, to wrap things into perspective, and to say, if you're in a position right now where you don't feel value, you got to know your value. You got to understand what that is, why you're so valuable to a company, and then go do something about it. Employers, they don't want to, they don't necessarily always mean bad things when they don't recognize their employees. It's not just because the culture is bad. I know that that's the easy thing to say, and that kind of what goes around. And I would be very weary listening to social media and things of that nature, because it's a lot of people, the company culture here is bad, company culture here is bad. So be careful. It's not just because they don't have the right company culture, but sometimes there's just so many employees that it's hard when you're growing. It's just hard to recognize what every single person is doing. And at a larger scale, the easier way to recognize people is through the data, right? The measurables, the true measurables that like you can see, everyone can see. An example is, let's say the top 5% or 10% of, whether it's sales individual or any department, get recognized for something. Well, that's just easy to do. It's harder to see, well, the top 5% as far as helping their coworkers or being a support to their coworkers or helping with company culture on a daily basis. Well, that's more on a micro, at a micro level, that those are going to get the recognition, but it's not always easy to do. So they don't necessarily always mean bad, but I'll give a couple examples to kind of illustrate how that works and what your value is to your company. And they're going to be based off of my examples. And obviously, as always, we're going to finish with what you should do about it and how you should handle the situation. So, number one, companies need average and middle of the pack performers. Um, there's this huge misconception, is that when you jump into a company, that you need to become the top performer, and that everyone needs to be the top performer. And you might be asking, like, why? What's the point of the middle of the pack performers? Well, if you think about it, if you want to attract good people and balance teams, like the most talented of people, and it's going to wrap around to this, but you need to have almost like to reset that culture. And you can't only have people that are thriving to be the number one all the time. Obviously, you will always, have your top performers, and you want people to want to compete and to want to do a good job. But it's important, like it's important to have the people that aspire to be top performer, but you also need your middle of the pack people. Those people are usually going to be more of your culture builders, the people that encourage those who want to be lifted up, but also bring in people along that maybe are more bottom of the pack, or other people that are middle of the pack, encouraging them. And it also gives an alternative to people coming in, which is really, really important to see. If you're coming in, and I think the best way to explain this is probably through an example. So when I was a financial advisor, I came in, and there were some people all over the place. So there was a group of people, I would say, that I'll put them all in a group. They were all 10 to 15 years of experience into their careers. And, they all were extremely happy. And that's what, kind of drew me to that career, because all the people that had, they always say, once you make it past 5 years, you kind of established, you've made it. And all the people that were at that point, they were all so happy with their career. They all loved what they were doing, but they all approached their career and their business completely differently, right? There were those top performers. Those people were the grinders. They go above and beyond all those different things. They probably made 500K plus, a million plus per year. Sorry, and that's what they wanted for their life, and they enjoyed it, right? They loved that. They worked really hard. They probably did not have as much of that work-life balance, and that's what they look for, right? They weren't willing to sacrifice some other things in order to get the check and to in order to get a certain lifestyle. But there were also a lot of people making, 150 to 200, so, which is still a good salary, and you can put that into perspective with other jobs, right? Like in other jobs, it might be 150 to 250 and then 50 to 100, let's say, whatever it is. But they still had a really good life. They were had a little bit more of a balanced life. Some of them worked maybe 4 days a week, and that's the way they wanted to live, right? And that was their goal. That's what they wanted to do. And as a company, you always need to give people that option when they, sorry about that. You always need to give people that option when they come in, because there's a lot of really smart people, and really that can bring different ideas, different perspective, different skills, value to your company. And there's a lot of talented people, but they don't all want the same thing out of life, right? And they can all provide some kind of value to the company, but not all of them, they want to work the 60 plus hour work week. Even if you promise them, if you tell them like, oh, you'll get promoted so fast into a manager role. A lot of people don't want to be in management, right? Like, another people are like, I don't care about people management. That's not what I want to do. You can promise them, more money, trips if they win this award, and they're just generally like, I don't care about any of that, right? It's like some people just don't care. All they want to do is put in their hours, do a good enough job, provide value, and then go home to their family. And this is not to say that you're an average performer, but those people are really important. And if you don't feel value, you are value. Like, these are important people, even though they might not point to you when they're hiring folks. There's a lot more people that are going to come in and be like, I want this lifestyle. I want whatever they're doing. And a lot more people are going to gravitate towards those people. So very often, understand how valuable you are if you are in that position. Like I said, and I'm not saying don't thrive to be a top performer if you're not right now. Maybe you're middle of the pack, but still thriving to be a top performer, and that's why you feel that way. But that's okay as well. But no matter how you are, where you are in your journey, you're still extremely valuable, and your company needs you more than you think. That's that for that. So number two, the dollar value. So the actual monetary value that you are to the company. So I know that I definitely have spoken about this before, but hiring is not cheap, people. Stop undervaluing how important you are to that company from like a just purely monetary standpoint. And I will tell you guys why that is so important. Maybe I know I've spoken about this in the past, but maybe you haven't believed me at this point. But now I'm prepared. I came with some numbers. All right. So let's look at these numbers. If you left your company tomorrow, if like tomorrow you got up, you're like, bam, I'm gone. I'm out of here. Got a better offer. Bam, peace. Your company would need to, create a role, create a job posting, get a bunch of approvals, even though it's just a one-to-one backfill. It's approval levels. It takes time from all these people. Set up interviews. This is once again time away from the recruiters, from hiring managers. You may say the recruiters, oh well, that's their job. They're always recruiting, but think about it. They have a job to do. Like, they weren't their job isn't waiting for someone to quit so they can hire someone. They're focused on growth and a variety of different things. And when you put when you come in and you now quit, and now they have to backfill your role, this usually takes more priority, meaning that they can't focus on the growth aspect. There is an opportunity cost to the business. So that's, it's an added cost to the business, even though it's just a backfill, even though that you may say like, oh, well, that's just the job of the recruiter. So that costs money. Like you don't think that like it's just free to them. And once again, it's gonna come back. This is not to make you feel bad, by the way. This is to make you feel good. But we're gonna get to that point. Um, that process of like creating the job posting, all of that, it takes on average 42 days. So if you think about, let's say you quit tomorrow, you put your 2 weeks in. Well, you're gonna be there for 2 weeks, but it's going to take another I'm not going to do the math right now, this is embarrassing, another about 28 days, right, in order for them to actually fill fill the role until like someone starts, even if they started the process like right when you put in your 2 weeks. Okay, so and that costs the company anywhere from 4,000. I've seen a lot of different articles, anywhere from 4,000 to $19,000 just for that hiring process with background checks, this, that, and the whole 9 yard. So if you think about those days that are lost, that's a certain amount of money that is lost. And also the just the purely, recruiting costs, and all those different things. So we're looking at about upwards of $20,000 alone right now. It also takes about a year or two for someone to become proficient at their job. So if you've been there for like 2-3 years or more, you kind of gotten into a routine where your manager just depends on you, right? Like they know that they don't have to tell you how to do this, tell you how to do that. They don't have to hold your hand when you need to do this or need to do that. Now they're going back to a place where they would need to do that with the new person. So if you think about your annual salary, right? Let's just use $50,000 for today, just for the sake of the example. They are paying someone $50,000 that doesn't even know how to do the job just yet, right? So that's basically a year that they're spending $50,000 on a person, but they're not getting any revenue out of this person because there's someone that always has to be teaching them and taking time away. So you have to add that number on top of what the recruiting cost already is. Um, yeah, so depending obviously how long you've been there, that's a lot of proficiency experience that's just walking out the door. That's just not good for a company. So all this to really say, if your issue with a company or your value that you're looking for is that, well, you haven't gotten a raise or it's monetary, well, just ask. Trust me, we're not even scratching the surface at this point of what it costs to replace you. Like there's a lot more costs with the proficiency and everything that's walking out the door and the needing to train somebody and those man hours that it takes and things of that nature. It costs a whole lot more to replace you than to just give you, if you're looking for an extra 10, 15, sometimes even 20,000, whatever it might be. Maybe you're making a little bit more and it's on a larger scale, but to be asking for it, and maybe it's hourly, right? Maybe it's less than that. You have to scale it for wherever you're at, but it would cost the company a whole lot less, a whole lot more, to replace you rather than to just give you the little raise that you're looking for. So, it's cheaper to give you an extra $10,000 or $15,000 rather than going out on the market and spending nearly 70 to $100,000 on trying to backfill and replace you, after you've left. So understand that value, once again, even again, if you're a middle of the pack or just an average performer, which there's nothing wrong. I know I'm saying just an average performer, but uh, at the end of the day, when you're hired to do a specific task. Um, Outperform people that outperform are always great, but there's nothing wrong with someone that performs. Number three, finally, there's work to do, and I think that that's actually such an interesting one that I was just thinking about recently because I think that we forget this part very often. And it might sound very silly and simple, but if you're still employed right now, that's because you serve a purpose. There's something out there that needs to get done by you, right? That the fact that you're in C, it needs to be done because you're there. Whether it's replacing, certain hours, whether it's mundane tasks or anything. Companies don't hire people or just don't keep people just for fun, whether it's for a specific project or whether it's for growth. Company has a certain vision, they have certain calculations, and your headcount approval was there for a reason, right? So let's say you're working on a project, your task is critical. If you were to leave, they need to replace that task. So you just need to be aware that like that task at hand, it's an important task. Like they can't just replace you. They can't just like, oh, let's take them out and like let's just have this slot open. Even if you're thinking like, oh, well, we might be going through a recession or I'm the new person here. Yes, their plan is to grow and they have certain goals and they have certain numbers that they have to reach if they want to grow at the right rate. So you just need to be conscious of that as well. So if you're, unless you're losing the money, they then they'll probably let you go. But if you're there, then that means that like they actually need you. So once again, understand that and just leverage it to your advantage in order to get what you think that you deserve, right? Um, but I think that that's really where I'll stop for like those 3 points, right? It's like number and let's work backwards, which is there's work to do. Number two, there's a certain dollar value associated to you staying or leaving, and finally, number three, companies need middle of the pack performers in order to attract the most talent and the most quality people really within a company. So what should you do with all this information, right? Now, first of all, just know that just know it and don't allow people to walk over. I see a lot of companies, they'll walk over you, right? Like they'll like when I see people, let's say, not taking advantage of their benefits, not doing certain, whatever it is, not asking for raises. If you think about why do people get raises when they just ask, it's because the budget is there and some people just don't ask for it. So don't allow companies to walk all over you, and always think win-win, right? This is not to bad talk or bad mouth corporations or anything like that, because they're doing something amazing, right? They're providing, yeah, like I think about myself, they're allowing me, like I had to go to work and earn money that allowed me to reinvest in my business, reinvest in real estate and all those things. And, my life, my family's life is forever changed. And corporations have allowed me to do that. So this is not to badmouth corporations, but it's always to think win-win. It's to think, hey, listen, I'm making this company, my work is making this company $100,000 every single year. It's only fair that I get, right now you're giving me 50,000. I think that it's not outrageous to ask for 70,000. I think that it's a situation where we both win. I would probably work on, you know, making you an extra 10, 15, 20,000. I'm happier. You don't have to spend $100,000 on recruiting, things of that nature. So always think win-win in everything that you're doing. Um, and take these conversation into your next negotiations, right? Think like it's more of a mindset and a reframing of the mind than it is anything else. Is you want to think about it in a different way when you're going to negotiation, and not just thinking like, I don't have a leg to stand on to ask for these different things, because you actually do, no matter what you've been doing. And just understanding you don't have to be afraid, and you actually do have more leverage than you think you have. Whew. All right, I'm done. This was good. I'm really feeling myself. Like I said, I'm glad to be back. I wasn't taking a break to just hang out and chill. I just really need to refocus and make sure that every time I come on here, it's valuable content. And I hope this was helpful at all. Like I said, I always aim to help and provide value. Please, I don't get a lot of like feedback. If you guys can just share things that you like, things that you didn't, things that you guys would want to hear of or know more about. I want to provide that. I want to be helpful. Like I said, it takes me a whole lot less time to look this stuff up and actually share this with people. So if you guys don't mind, just share feedback on things that you want to hear about, and I'm more than happy to get that content out there for you guys. If you guys need help with your next negotiation, on my vision board, I think I shared that with you guys at the beginning of the year. It is to help. I believe it was 10 people. Now I lost it. It's not right next to me, but believe I wanted to help 10 people get at least a 10% raise this year. We're at around four, I believe, right now. So make sure that you book your free consultation if we can work together, if we can help, if it makes sense for us to help. I'm more than happy to do that. Follow me on all social, all of that. You guys know what to do. Subscribe to the podcast, whether on whatever platform you are. If you don't mind, please go give me a 5-star rating. I don't want no 4-star, 3-star. No. Just give me a 5-star rating. It just helps the platform. It helps us grow. It helps us with our growth. You guys know we are looking to grow this platform and to become the number one personal finance podcast in the world. We're on our way. But as always, you guys already know, make sure that you're taking the steps today to ensure that you're 1% closer to your goals than you were yesterday. Have a good day, everyone. Bye bye.